There is a specific, sinking feeling that I think every single person watching this video knows intimately. It usually hits you on a Sunday evening, or perhaps right after your morning coffee on a Tuesday. It is the weight of a task that you know you need to do, hanging over your head like a storm cloud. Maybe it is a report you need to write for work. Maybe it is that garage you promised to clean out 3 months ago. Maybe it is finally going to the gym. You know you should do it. You know you will feel better once it is done. But for some reason, you are physically unable to move. You find yourself staring at the wall, or suddenly deciding that organizing your spice rack is the most urgent priority in the world, or falling into a 2-hour doom-scrolling loop on your phone. We call this procrastination, but that word is too soft. It feels more like paralysis. It feels like there is an invisible wall between you and the thing you need to do. And the more you stare at the wall, the taller it gets. The guilt starts to build up in your chest, transforming into anxiety, which drains your energy even further, making it even harder to start. It is a suffocating feedback loop. But what if I told you that this wall is an illusion? What if I told you that procrastination has a natural predator, a psychological concept that acts like kryptonite to that feeling of paralysis? In behavioral psychology, there is a phenomenon that explains how to bypass this resistance entirely. It is not about having more willpower. It is not about grinding or being disciplined. It is about physics. It is called the slide effect. And once you understand how to build a slide for your brain, you will realize that the hardest part of any journey isn't the journey itself. It is simply the act of stepping off the ledge. Today, we are going to deconstruct why your brain fights you and how to trick it into productivity so effortless that it feels like falling. To understand the slide effect, we first have to understand the enemy. Why is starting so incredibly hard? Why can you binge watch an entire season of a TV show without effort, but writing one email feels like climbing Mount Everest? The answer lies in a concept borrowed from chemistry and physics called activation energy. Imagine a rocket ship sitting on a launch pad. In order for that rocket to break the atmosphere, it burns through the vast majority of its fuel in the first few minutes of liftoff. The energy required to move from a standstill to motion is massive. But once that rocket is in orbit, it can travel thousands of miles per hour using almost zero fuel. It just glides. Your brain operates on the exact same principle. The human brain is, biologically speaking, an energy-hoarding machine. Its primary evolutionary directive is to conserve calories in case of a famine or a tiger attack. When you contemplate a large task, like writing a 10-page paper or running 5 miles, your brain runs a quick cost-benefit simulation. It looks at the effort required, sees a massive energy expenditure, and immediately pulls the emergency brake. It floods your system with resistance to keep you safe and stationary. This is why the start feels like heavy lifting. You are fighting against millions of years of evolutionary programming that wants you to sit still and save energy. This is where most productivity advice fails. We are told to just push through or use willpower, but willpower is a finite resource. Relying on willpower to overcome activation energy every single time is like trying to push a car uphill every morning before you drive to work. Eventually, you're going to get tired, and the car is going to roll back over you. The slide effect proposes a different solution. Instead of trying to generate enough force to push the car uphill, what if you just park the car at the top of a steep hill? What if you position yourself so that gravity did the work for you? So, what exactly is the slide effect? Think back to when you were a child on a playground. Do you remember the slide? The process of climbing up the ladder took effort. Sitting down at the top took intention. But the moment you scooted your hips forward just 1 inch, the moment your center of gravity shifted over the edge, the rest was inevitable. You didn't have to try to slide down. You didn't need willpower to reach the bottom. Gravity took over. The momentum carried you. You were locked into a sequence of events that required zero additional effort. In the context of productivity, the slide effect means lowering the barrier to entry for a task so drastically that you essentially fall into the work. It is the art of reducing the friction of the start until it is almost non-existent. Once you have slid into the task, a psychological principle known as the Zeigarnik effect takes over. This principle states that the human mind has a strong desire to finish what it has started. Once the brain is engaged in a task, the anxiety of starting disappears, replaced by the momentum of doing. The mistake 99% of people make is that they focus on the bottom of the slide, the finished project, the six-pack abs, the clean house. That is overwhelming. The slide effect ignores the bottom. It focuses entirely on that first inch of movement at the top. It argues that you do not need to be ready to start. You need to start in order to become ready. Let's look at a classic American struggle, the gym membership. We all know someone, maybe it is you, who has resolved to get in shape. They buy the expensive membership, they buy the protein powder, they have the best intentions. But when 5 p.m. rolls around after a long day of work, the idea of driving to the gym, changing clothes, lifting weights for an hour, showering, and driving home feels impossible. The activation energy required is too high. The brain visualizes the pain of the entire 90-minute ordeal and shuts down. I have a friend who struggled with this for 2 years. He wasted thousands of dollars on unused memberships. He was stuck in the all-or-nothing trap. He thought that if he couldn't do a perfect workout, there was no point in going. I introduced him to the slide effect. I told him, forget about the workout. Stop thinking about the weights. Your only goal, the only thing that counts as a win, is to put on your gym shoes and step out onto your front porch. He looked at me like I was crazy. That's it, he asked. That's it, I said. If you put on your shoes and stand on the porch and then decide to go back inside and watch TV, you still win. You accomplish the goal. So the next day, he did it. He put on his sneakers. He walked out the front door. And he stood there. And then the magic of the slide effect kicked in. His brain said, well, I'm already dressed. I'm already standing outside. I feel kind of silly just turning around. I might as well walk to the car. And once he was in the car, he thought, well, I'm driving. I might as well drive to the gym. And once he was in the gym parking lot, he thought, I might as well go in for 10 minutes. He didn't need willpower to lift the weights. He only needed enough willpower to tie his shoes. He lowered the starting resistance so much that failure was impossible. By simply nudging himself over the edge of the slide, the momentum of the sequence carried him through a full workout. He has been going consistently for 6 months now, not because he became a disciplined super soldier, but because he stopped trying to climb the mountain and started letting himself slide down it. This applies to intellectual work just as much as physical work. Writer's block is perhaps the most famous form of procrastination. The blank page is terrifying. Whether you are a student writing a thesis, an employee writing a quarterly report, or an aspiring novelist, the white screen with a blinking cursor is a psychological torture device. The brain looks at the blank page and thinks, I need to write something brilliant. I need to write 2,000 words. It needs to be structured and coherent. That expectation creates a massive wall of anxiety. You are paralyzed by the need for quality and quantity before you have even typed a single word. The slide effect solution is radical. Lower your standards to the floor. Do not aim to write a chapter. Do not even aim to write a paragraph. Your goal is to write one sentence. And here is the key. It doesn't even have to be a good sentence. It can be a terrible sentence. It can be, I am sitting here and I don't know what to type. Why does this work? Because writing one bad sentence requires almost zero activation energy. Your brain doesn't perceive it as a threat. It's too easy to resist. But once that sentence is on the screen, the white page is no longer blank. The spell is broken. You have moved from thinking to doing, and almost invariably, the second sentence follows the first. The gears of your mind start turning. The inertia shifts from stationary to moving. I used to be a chronic procrastinator with my own writing. I would wait until the deadline was screaming at me before I started. Now my rule is simple. Open the laptop and type one sentence before I even finish my coffee. 9 times out of 10, that one sentence turns into an hour of deep work. I didn't find the motivation to write. The act of writing generated the motivation. This is a crucial distinction. Amateurs wait for inspiration to strike. Professionals know that inspiration is a byproduct of action. They build a slide, and they jump. At its core, the slide effect is the antidote to perfectionism. We often view perfectionism as a virtue, having high standards. But in reality, perfectionism is just procrastination in a fancy suit. It is a defense mechanism. We are so afraid of doing a bad job that we prefer to do nothing at all. We want the conditions to be perfect. We want the lighting to be right, the desk to be clean, the coffee to be hot, and our energy levels to be at 100%. The slide effect shatters this delusion. It embraces the messy start. It admits that the first step is going to be clumsy, and that is okay. When you tell yourself, I'm just going to wash one dish, or I'm just going to read one page, you are removing the pressure of performance. You are giving yourself permission to be imperfect, as long as you are moving. There is a saying in the tech world, move fast and break things. The slide effect is the personal productivity version of that. Start small and slide down. You can't steer a parked car. You can only direct your energy once you are in motion. By lowering the stakes, you silence the inner critic that tells you you aren't ready. You bypass the ego that wants to protect you from failure. Because let's be honest, you can't fail at putting on your running shoes. You can't fail at opening a book. The bar is so low that success is guaranteed, and that small success triggers a dopamine release that fuels the next step. So, how do you implement this in your life today? How do you turn this from a nice theory into a daily practice? You need to become an architect of your own environment. You need to construct slides for the things you want to do. First, identify the task that you are dreading. The big, scary monster in your closet. Maybe it is studying for a certification exam. Second, identify the start node. What is the absolute smallest, most ridiculous atomic unit of action required to begin? It isn't study for 2 hours. It is open the textbook to page 45. That's it. That is the top of the slide. Third, execute that micro-action immediately. Do not think about step 2. Do not think about the exam. Just open the book. Fourth, and this is important, give yourself permission to stop. Tell yourself, I will open the book, and if I want to close it after reading one paragraph, I'm allowed to. This removes the feeling of entrapment. Paradoxically, knowing you can't stop usually makes you want to keep going. It is the freedom of choice that keeps the energy flowing. You can apply this to everything. Housework. The goal is to pick up one sock. Networking. The goal is to find one email address. Meditation. The goal is to close your eyes for 30 seconds. You are hacking your brain's reward system. You are tricking the amygdala into staying asleep while the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for getting things done, takes the wheel. Over time, this creates a new self-image. You stop seeing yourself as a lazy person who can't finish things. You start seeing yourself as someone who starts. And once you are someone who starts, the finishing takes care of itself. If you look at the most successful people in our society, the most prolific artists, the fittest athletes, the most effective entrepreneurs, you will notice a pattern. They rarely talk about needing motivation. They have simply mastered the art of the start. They don't waste hours negotiating with themselves. They don't wait for the stars to align. They have built routines that act as grease slides, dropping them instantly into deep work. Imagine if you applied the slide effect to your life for just 1 year. Imagine if every single day, instead of doom scrolling for that first hour of the morning, you just wrote one sentence, or did one push-up, or read one page. It sounds insignificant, but consistency has a compound interest. One sentence becomes a paragraph, which becomes a chapter, which becomes a book. One push-up becomes a workout routine, which becomes a transformation. The difference between who you are now, who you want to be, isn't a matter of talent. It isn't a matter of luck. It is simply a matter of friction. You have been making it too hard on yourself. You have been trying to jump over a 10-foot wall when you could have just walked through an open gate. So stop waiting. Stop analyzing. Stop planning the perfect strategy. Those are all just sophisticated forms of hiding. The world doesn't reward the best plan. It rewards the person who takes the first step. I want you to try something right now. Not tomorrow, not later, but right now. Think of that one thing you have been putting off. You know exactly what it is. It popped into your head the moment I mentioned it. I want you to define the tiniest possible starting step for that task. A step so small it feels silly. And I want you to do it. Just that one thing. Build your slide and give yourself a little push. If you are ready to stop fighting gravity and start using it to your advantage, let me know in the comments below. Type, I am starting, and tell me what tiny step you are taking today. Let's hold each other accountable. If you found value in this video, If it helped you see your own resistance in a new light, please hit the like button. It helps more people find this message. And make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on, because we dive deep into the psychology of a better life every single week. Don't wait to be ready. Start, and the readiness will follow. I'll see you in the next one. Now go find